Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Paul. How's it going?
I'm doing good, except I'm clicking some of the wrong buttons at times, and you'll see when you watch this one back later. Anyway, everybody, you don't care about me and him talking to each other. You care about DVD, VHS, box art, cover art, the pictures and words and stuff that were on the outside of VHS cases. And I'm going to go with VHS because that's my generation. The trip to the video store, Paul. We talked about this on, I think it was last week's live stream, and we thought, you know what, there's something to that. Because looking at before you even knew what the movie was about, title, yeah, that'll go a long way to grab you. But a great cover, a great box art, a great image would make you go over. And unfortunately for me, a lot of horror films had the best covers. And, you know, as a 10-year-old or 11-year-old in the VHS store, I wasn't always able to pick the thing I wanted because I'm like, this looks really cool. Look at the pictures. And it turned out to be like an 18s movie. 18s is R-rated for our American friends. 18s is that's the categorization. It's 18 or over here.
Yeah.
So, Paul, we're going to talk to people about we're going to go down memory lane, essentially.
Yeah.
We'll take a little wander.
Nostalgia.
It's in right now. Looking back is the new looking forward. It's cool. And it would explain all the reboots and remakes.
Yeah. So we're looking at like it. I think this came from kind of when you walk into a video store or into your rental store, and you're like walking down the aisle, and then you like just out of the corner of your eye, you're just like, what the hell's that? You know. And something to draw the eye, something that you have no idea what the movie's about, kind of thing, and you're just like, hey, that looks really cool, kind of thing. So that's where we're kind of going. I think this stems from Toxic Avenger.
That was where the topic came from. You're right.
So yeah, I think that was the kind of one, because the Toxic Avenger always caught my interest, kind of thing. I think that was the one that I was always just like walking by going like, that's such an interesting looking box art.
Well,
you know,
any minute now I'll get my buttons right, and the Toxic Avenger is now finally on screen. Paul, I remember the image. I don't remember it all sharply, let's say, but I remember the Toxic Avenger on the shelves too, because it was like, it's a great title, but that kind of holding a mop, the American flag, all that stuff, it's a striking image from across the room.
Yeah, like it's like, yeah, it was so weird. It's just yeah, like the movie is literally just about a person who, it's like a janitor who saw the wrong thing and gets thrown into like a vat of like radioactive thing, and then he becomes really strong and mutates, and you know like goes after the people who threw him in the radiation.
For so many years in my kind of later adolescence, or I guess in my late teens, early 20s, my brain had mixed the Toxic Avenger, Swamp Thing, and a whole other bunch of things all together, and made this kind of super mix. But now that I've seen the Toxic Avenger since, there's nothing quite like it. And that's one of those ones I didn't get to see as a rental. I had to, wait till I was much older.
Yeah, no, like I think mine was the same. I didn't get to actually watch. It's always been on a list, and then eventually when like I guess I was buying DVDs and stuff like that from the bargain bin kind of thing, I was just like, yes, finally, I get to watch this. Awful movie, but fun, really fun.
That's something we should call out. Everybody, get into the comments. I can see Brew. Thank you very much, Brian. You're already in there calling out some names, and actually some of them are going to appear on our list. Everybody get into the comments, let us know, and tell the story. Feel free to tell the story of how and why it meant something to you. For me, it's when I started thinking of, well, what do I remember? It all came from the VHS era, because like you say, in the DVD days, that's when bargain bins really took off, and I was able to collect stuff. Whereas when I was a kid, the idea of somebody having a VHS actual cassette with actual pictures on it in their home, as opposed to something they like taped off TV, crazy. And even when you rented a video from the video store, you may take the cool case over to the desk, but they handed you back like a plain black box with the cassette shoved in it. They didn't let you leave the room with that precious
had, like,
real box.
Yeah, and it just had the name on it and stuff like that. It was real sad.
Yeah. Oh, I remember going to somebody's house. It was a cousin. Hey, Brian and all, if you're out there. Yeah, they had a VHS copy of First Blood, Rambo Part 1, as people would call it. And I remember looking at it thinking, you have, like, did you steal this from the video store?
Yeah.
And then also go into the back and get the cassette and put it in the right box? My God, you must be the richest people in the world.
Yeah, it was. I think there's a lot of this stems from the fascination part. Like you were saying that we were both kind of too young to actually be able to get a lot of the movies that are on the list.
Yeah.
I think, but it was the fascination with the box art that kind of like really stuck with us, because we were just like, it's the forbidden fruit kind of thing where you're just like, that looks really cool, but I can't have it, I'm not old enough to get it, kind of thing. And then when you get older and you actually watch it and stuff, it sticks with you.
It's so true. And actually, Paul, speaking of bad movies, though, that like we missed out on some bad movies. Like there was an lucky upside to some of this, and there's one I have to call out, because for years I wanted to see this movie. Every time I was in the video store, it was like, can we please get Leonard Part 6? Which I know that there's a story that comes with this one, and by the way, it's a film starring Bill Cosby, so it's now got some serious baggage. But pre-Cosby having the baggage, this is still possibly one of the worst films ever made, apparently. I've watched many videos about it, but never watched this movie itself. And the reason it's called Leonard Part 6 is my favorite thing of all. They thought it would be a good idea to make up this fictitious kind of spy super agent.
Yeah.
And apparently in the opening monologue of the film is, welcome to Leonard Part 6. Leonard's 1 through 5 all had to be destroyed in the interest of national security. So this was the first film ever, and they thought, we'll make a joke out of the fact that it's... Oh my God, everybody behind this movie should have been like thrown out of a window somewhere. Especially Bill Cosby, as it turns out.
That is... Can I just say, having a car with like camo paint and a tank turret on it is a very interesting choice for a cover art.
This is where it goes, Paul. Why do you think little me, knowing me as you do?
No.
See, I didn't see Bill Cosby from the Cosby Show, because that's what he would have been super famous for at the time. And I knew the Cosby Show. I'd watched the Cosby Show and stuff. What I saw was, for starters, I'd never met or heard of anybody called Leonard. So that was almost exotic for me. But I thought, this is weird. I'm looking at a Porsche 928 with a tank turret thing, and yet I can't see where it would fit on top of the car. My brain, even as a child, was that car nerdy that I'm like, I don't understand how this works. Like, this can't work, but I do like Porsches, and that was quite a cool Porsche for the time. It's in camo. My childish brain was like, I need to see this because I want to see that car shooting like tank bullets out of its roof. Luckily, everybody in my family said no, so that never got taken home, and to this day I've never seen it, but I have practically studied its plot. And to say that it's anti-vegetarian, like genuinely the bad guys are vegetarians, and Bill Cosby beats them by like hitting them with sausages and like beef, because obviously that was the way people thought then. I don't know. It's unspeakably bad. I still think the cover is terrible, but at the right age, when you're into cars, all you have to be is like camo Porsche tank.
Yeah.
Camo Porsche tank.
Yeah, it's very, very simple kind of things. Just
yeah.
But I also I don't know if you've noticed the feature that I'm gonna like. Have you noticed his shoes?
Yeah. Yeah.
His shoes are ridiculous as well.
Yeah. Spoiler warning: he escapes in the end of the movie by flying on an ostrich from a rooftop.
Okay, I'm watching this film.
What can't ostriches do? Of all the birds, what are they famous for not being able to do?
Yeah, they are famous for running real fast and taking off because they're real fast on the ground, you know.
Some would call them the flightless birds. Ostrich. You know what? I want this to be on the list of things that we watch together when we start doing live watch-alongs.
Oh, yeah.
I think this could be one of those ones where it feels like an acid trip.
I already found it. Yeah, I already found it. We'll
Okay, cool.
We'll talk about that after.
Yep.
But just on Toxic Avenger, the really funny thing is that Elijah Wood is going to bring that back, and I think Peter Dinklage is in the film as well. So
nice.
just to retickle those analytics, Elijah Wood of the Toxic Avenger reboot, Peter Dinklage. But yeah, no, Bill Cosby and Leonard Part 6. Do you know what we should do? If we really like Leonard Part 6, we should make Leonard Part 1 to 5, and like
I had that thought, but we would have to make it be about Bill Cosby's backstory. So they would be some of the darkest movies ever, followed by Part 6, where he's a heroic, weird super spy.
Oh, I was just gonna make Leonard as the Leonard is like the James Bond, like it's the call sign.
Oh yeah, nice.
So there's one of us, and in Part 5, one of us would die, and then we just edit in like Bill Cosby walking through a door or something like that.
Oh, we could just have the ostrich. I prefer to work with the ostrich.
Everybody would. It wouldn't,
but
like.
Can I add on to my story just with one small addendum? Yeah. The one that I'm most associated with Leonard Part 6 that I wasn't allowed to take is on screen now. It's called Cherry 2000. And I genuinely, because I sat in a room thinking about this, Paul, before this episode. I didn't just go looking on the internet. I sat going, what really comes back to you? And I walked around the tiny little old video store. And when it shows up on your screen, you'll see why. This is a rocket launcher, essentially Melanie Griffith in what will become a theme of 80s cover art, cleavage or legs or whatever. But again, Mad Max style Mustang on the cover also. So rocket launcher, I hate to say it, I'm not immune to cartoon cleavage as a younger man, and then kind of apocalypse style Mustang. I didn't really pick this one up and look at what is it about. You pick it up and you read both sides. Yep. This is one of those ones of, can we get this? Can we get this? Can we get this? No. Crap. Okay. Still haven't seen this one either, Paul.
Okay. We'll make this a list of kind of things that we have to see. Yeah. I think most of the ones I've seen, the ones that I think I've chosen is mostly the ones I've seen. But like if there's ones on it, like I definitely want to watch Cherry 2000 and
Leonard Part 6.
Like yeah, that was the other thing was looking through kind of the cover art, kind of the cover art archives. Man, there was a lot of like. Yeah, there was a lot of. It was definitely like old men, like we're not old men, but older men in like suits with like cigars, and they're just like, do you know what sells? Women. Yeah. So like definitely a weirder time of just planting ladies onto cover arts.
A lot of unnecessarily short skirts in, and it was also in a kind of an animated style, let's say, or like a hand drawn style rather than an actual photo. Which, Paul, let's go over to one of yours, and then I can give an example, yet another example that probably has inappropriate clothed people on it.
Oh, I don't know which one this is going to be now.
So no, I want to go with one of yours to get away from that for a moment. So
let's go for Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
I think I'd try with Curveball. A lot of mine are horror. I think a lot of yours are horror as well. I think horror just had the best.
Why don't I have that, Paul?
Oh, I don't know. We'll move on. Let's go to Bad Taste because it's already in the chat. So we'll go into Bad Taste. Bad Taste was always an interesting one because I think it was also the taboo thing of having an alien putting up a middle finger kind of thing. I think that was another thing that I was just like, ooh,
It is quite striking, though. I remember this cover too.
Yeah, it was a very weird one. Like it's also weirder to find out that Peter Jackson is one of the people involved in it.
Well, this was his one of his kind of breakouts, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's one of his first.
He wrote it, I think.
Yeah, like I think it's one of those. I think he also stars in it as well. Because he used to do that Hitchcock thing as well. which he still does actually. I shouldn't say he doesn't do it. He still does it. He does it. He's in the Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So we should actually we'll do a Hitchcock and Peter Jackson like spot, like Where's Waldo kind of episode. But yeah, it was always an interesting one. Yeah, and I do think it was because I think I think it's just with the middle finger. It was always the kind of like as a child, kind of going, "Hoo, look at that! Yeah, it's really interesting," kind of thing. And as you said, if you got it, you just get like the the blank box just with the name on it.
Yeah.
So like, it wasn't as fun. But
No,
I did
but
get to see this one.
it was all about the standing there looking at it, wondering, will I get this? Now you're not going to get a guy giving the middle finger like this grotesque sticking the middle finger, holding an AK-47, and the thing's called Bad Taste. Like I couldn't get Cherry 2000 to pass things. So yeah, no chance.
Oh yeah. And if anyone knows about the movie, it's actually just about aliens invading a small town and hunting them down to eat them.
There you
The
go.
Bad Taste is a reference on the restaurant part. But yeah, no, it was always one of those ones where I'd walk by, and I think it was a combination of just it's a weird looking kind of one, and then also the middle finger kind of thing where it's just like, ooh.
Well, it's definitely striking. And to call out our commenter Brian, who said, "Yeah, Bad Taste was another." Brian, you worked in a couple of video shops, so you're immersed. We all went in and kind of swam in the pool. You lived in the ocean, so anything that stuck out to you is a definite. It's a definite winner. And Paul, I managed to grab a Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah, there's a close-up version of it, but the one that I think you were showing is also the same. Is the kind of wider angles kind of one.
Yeah.
It was always a striking one just because it's the first movie. It's the first Nightmare on Elm Street one, so it's just a weird looking kind of thing, and it's also specifically because it's like the claws hanging over her face like a mask, which was an interesting kind of one. So like the first time I ever saw it was just, but I also had heard of Nightmare on Elm Street as a franchise because I think the second one had come out when I was, I think Dream Warrior was the one that came out when I was a kid. So like it was an interesting kind of box art one. It's also interesting that Freddy Krueger, the only part of Freddy Krueger that appears on this is literally the claw. Like the skull kind of thing isn't him.
No,
it's just it's an actual vision within a dream. So it was an interesting kind of. It was reminiscent of keeping the monster as much as possible from view for ages, but the claw was so iconic that they have to kind of have that going on for a while. But
I remember we did rent Nightmare on Elm Street, and when I say we, I'd like to thank my brother right now for being able to do things and get things to our house that I could then watch with him when others were out. So cheers, I got to see a lot of cool movies thanks to my brother. I probably shouldn't thank him for Nightmare on Elm Street because I think the term is it scared the dickens out of me. Because I'm going clean this week. Otherwise, I would have said it scared the absolute shit out of me. Oh, ruined it. But Paul, I'm going to give you. Here's a little run through my childhood very, very quickly.
Okay.
When I couldn't win on, Leonard Part 6 or Cherry 2000, which I didn't really want to see. I just thought they were cool looking. Then I would go to things I knew I could do. And I entered the blue hue phase, as I'm going to call it, where there was an awful lot of stuff that was marketed to kids that was kind of like, well, this could be scary or could be intimidating, but it really isn't. It's still for kids. Like Gremlins is one of the examples I chose, but The Explorers, it's one of those kind of, you see something, it's a bit sci-fi. There's BMXs, so it's still safe. It's kids. And I've talked about Explorers on the channel before. It seems to be a film that no one other than me has seen, yet Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix are in it. It's like it's practically a Spielbergian masterpiece, and yet nobody remembers it. So I don't know why. You haven't seen it either. We talked about this once before. I don't think anybody's seen it but me.
This is the thing, no, because I keep getting this mixed up between Flight of the Navigator.
Yes.
That's the one that I keep getting mixed up with. So I don't think I've actually seen this one, but yeah, there is a list of people in here that is just
Same time frame, completely different movies, but
like, yeah. So
both worthwhile
have to-
actually.
to
So we're now going to watch Explorers together too. Somebody out there, Brian, write this down. We're going to have to watch this back and start taking notes. But Paul, my childhood, and I want to, because I don't want to burn up your time. I want to say that my childhood, as I grew, then turned into things like Teen Agent or If Looks Could Kill, which we talked about on the channel before, as things that were called different things in different jurisdictions. I'm showing box art for If Looks Could Kill, except it's the box art I remember. It said Teen Agent on it. But the only other one I could find online, to use as an example, was the alternate cover. And as you will see, both times there's a red Lotus Esprit, which, again, I have a type, Paul. I have a type. Put a cool car on the cover. I know. As it turns out, my type isn't human. It's automotive. But if you look at the other cover art now, you'll see that it is the traditional. Why is there somebody randomly in the corner in a bathing suit?
yeah.
And why does Richard Grieco look so much like famous Cuban actor whose name has left me, who it will come back to me at some point. Somebody out there is going to know who I'm talking about. But yeah, I saw Teen and Cool Car, and I thought this could be a movie where I can live out a small part of my own mental fantasy. And that was quickly overtaken by the other style of box set or box cover, which was get two beefcake men, use their famous names, and have them look at you. Universal Soldier, Tango and Cash, all of those kind of, Stallone Russell, Van Damme Lundgren, Patrick Paul. It's oh, are they going to be fighting against each other? Are they going to be together? There's going to be guns. I'm like 14. I want to watch this. Well, I was probably a bit older for both of those. I have no excuse. I was probably like 16 when they came out. I don't know.
So Universal Soldier was one of those ones that always caught me as well. So I do get that one, and I do think it's because of the suits things.
Yeah, and the monocle, the Biona monocle.
Yeah, kind of thing. Yeah, the scanner kind of thing. But I found on my thing of which I'll post up on our socials, Renegades with Keith Sutherland and Lee. Oh god, I'll get the name. But it's like one of Keith Sutherland's like first movies, and it's a buddy cop one. The mustache on Keith Sutherland is glorious.
Oh yeah, you gotta love a bit of old style facial hair.
Oh yeah, like this is like peak 70s, 80s kind of like when mustaches were like what is it, Miami Vice,
sweet follicles. Yeah, I do love a good old bad hair day.
So I'll put that up, but it, just going through the list of it, I was just like, once again, that whole corner out of my eye kind of thing, going like, what the hell is Kiefer Sutherland? Weird. But yeah, no, definitely with the whole looking at the camera with guns or some kind of cool weapons kind of thing, and you're just like,
and making 1/3 of the box practically the big star names and putting them beside each other in that kind of, it's versus, or maybe it's team up, and it was always both versus and team up. In the case of Tango and Cash, versus then team up. In the case of Universal Soldier, team up then versus, then technically team up. I think, if I'm remembering it right. But Andy Garcia, by the way, everybody, Brew, thank you very much. Richard Grieco was looking like Andy Garcia, and now that you see it, tell me everybody else sees that too. So Paul, sorry, that was a little kind of how my life progressed. And obviously I then went on to the Stallone movies that were just Stallone being American. I've got a box art here for Over the Top, which has Stallone's fist, muscles, a truck, and what could be an eagle behind him, but I happen to know it's a hawk because I watched Over the Top so many times. But the key thing is, Paul, I took this specific image, the spine art. Can you see the spine is just a close-up of his face?
Yeah, I can see that.
I also like how
I also like how the back thing looks like some kind of like arm wrestle
That's the whole film
type.
is arm wrestling.
Yeah, and there we go. I
That's
didn't even know
literally,
that.
he's a trucker who arm wrestles, and he's
Oh,
got to
genius.
save his son, who is the Flight of the Navigator kid, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, it all comes
Um,
full circle.
it does. Do you know what's surprising actually? Now that you mentioned trucks, the one movie I definitely thought you'd choose the art for, which is Little Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, it was on my list. It was on my list. I was going to, but it would be
That's
disingenuous because my brain was like, it must be there, but I don't know if that's just years later because I loved the movie, but I don't know if I ever really saw it in the VHS store.
that's yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Mandela affecting myself. But can we take one moment, Paul? Because and I think everybody can tell I'm VHS era, you're VHS DVD era a bit more.
Yeah.
You missed out on the VHS spine stuff because you had your forward facing covers, but then there were the sideways ones. And actually, I have another Stallone here, Stallone Cobra, sunglasses,
I remember this one.
toothpick, mini
Very
machine
black
gun.
artwork and stuff.
Yeah. But again, look at the spine. What did they do? They basically just put the little picture of cool guy glasses with gun. So if you were flicking along where they had all the videos turned in sideways, the older releases, you were actually still looking at box art or some part of the box art. It was different times. I missed that because DVDs only really had the title. Sometimes they did cool stuff, but they didn't have as much real estate.
No, yeah, I think that's a big thing with it because because the spine of the boxes were a lot smaller. They just put the age and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And sorry, I got a giggle out of, I just saw Brian's comment. The RoboCop cover just screamed, "Watch me!" And I'm pretty, I didn't pick it, but I could draw it right now. Him with the stance by the car. Got any cover that had a car in it, I've mentally memorized. By the way, it was a Ford Taurus for all my car nerd friends. Paul, pick something. Get us away from cars.
I'm gonna go to go to Escape from New York.
What
that's
a
a good one.
choice.
That's
What a
good-
pick.
Yeah, because that always got me in the sense that there's so much going on within it, kind of thing that it's like it always captured the eye, especially with the big kind of Statue of Liberty head. That was probably the drawing kind of thing, and then as you looked at it more and more, like there was a lot more stuff kind of going on with it, kind of thing. So like that always,
Awesome.
and then also because like I was actually thinking about this because John Carpenter, Vampires. That's another one that I actually remember as well, and it's essentially just the crew silhouetted with vampires over it, and
Nice.
like sunset, with James Wood holding up a crossbow, but so that I think James Carpenter's box art stuff was really really kind of like eye catching a lot more than the stuff because the thing
Oh, yeah.
is also like there's literally John
Death Race.
Carpenter has a really good.
Death Race 2000 nearly made my list, and I removed it because it's just way too car adjacent. But that's another one of his.
Yeah, no, I think his whole thing with box art and stuff like really plays well. Yeah. But yeah, like the thing is that the more you look at this, the more you get from it as well, because like you obviously get, Slade Plissken with the presidents and stuff, and Molly,
telling a
and
story.
then like as you look further and further into the background and stuff, you see like the governor and stuff like that of New York, and like it really tells like pretty much all the players within except for the cops. That's the only one that it doesn't give away, but it's really good.
But let's face it, in a time before, like the trailers, any of the trailers that I saw were trailers at the start of a VHS that I was watching. So
Yeah,
you pick up a box, it's got you as far as it with the cool image. But talk about sealing the deal with that font, Escape from New York. A font can sell the whole thing all by itself. But man, 1997, New York City is a walled maximum security prison. Breaking out is impossible. Breaking in is insane. It's coming home with me, Paul. That's one of those ones where I'm like, there's no cleavage or obvious rocket launchers on this. I'm pretty sure I can get it past them by saying, look, it's about New York. See, Statue of Liberty.
yeah. It's a sci-fi.
Yeah.
One of those good sci-fi.
It's an awesome pick, though. I'm so sorry I didn't pick this because I kind of have it in my mind too.
Yeah, no, like in John, as I said, going through John Carpenter's list is also very good. I'll go for another striking one, which is, I'll go for Firefox, which is the reason that this is really striking is because it was back in the time when I was really interested in aircraft. But as I grew up, because I also did watch it, it was on like TV at one point. As I grew up, finding out that Clint Eastwood was in this film as the pilot was just an insane, like an insane kind of movie or like find. As in, he mostly did like he's the gruff like gun like sergeant gunner and that kind of stuff. But finding out that he's just the pilot. He's the pilot. He sneaks into Russia, captures the plane, and then flies it home. And then,
Yeah,
it's a
Paul,
really good.
I've seen Firefox at least 20 times. I love Firefox.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. And the box art is really, once again, the age of kind of paintings, painting box art kind of stuff, which I think is I think that draws the eye a lot more than kind of the actual like
photo collage and stuff.
Yeah, kind of thing. So it was another one of those ones that just kind of draw the eye. I think if you let's put it into, I think certain photography ones are really good because they do something with it. They don't just do like like if you put this Clint Eastwood in a photo with that background, it wouldn't have worked. It would actually look really weird, but having the whole thing as a painting looks really nice. But this other one, because I'm going to rush through these, Children of Corn, because that's a photo, but obviously they changed it around and stuff like that. But it's a silhouette kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this one was always very striking, simply because it's so simple, and it's just a silhouette of the rapier, the scythe. In the air, which was always so striking about it, and it was the only one that I took ages to see.
Right.
As in, like, I know there's ones that I haven't seen or there's ones that I had to wait for a while, but this one actually always scared the crap out of me, and I don't know why. I think it's because the children in the background just have glowing eyes.
Do you know what would have done it for me? It takes some cojones to just have a really short tagline, an adult nightmare, like that does it for me right now. I'm like, I don't know if I want to see. I've seen it and I'm not that scared. I'm like, I don't know if I want to see it now. An adult nightmare, that's got some punch to it. See, I didn't remember this cover, but when you sent me the image, I was like, shit, that's a good one.
Yeah, like, that's always been one of my favorite ones. Because there's another form of this which has just I think it's the children with glowing eyes kind of thing.
Right.
But this one's always one that's always struck to me the most. Was just the silhouette kind of photo kind of one.
Well, I gotta say it's wicked, and again, Stephen King's Children of the Corn. Once if it can get you as far as reading it, and then you're like, oh, Stephen King. Straight away you're like, oh yeah, Christine, Shining, whatever.
I also like the sub thing, which is, and a child shall lead them, which makes it really sinister, of kind of going, wait a minute, who is this child leading kind of thing.
Biblical sounding reference on a horror movie. Actually, you had me pooping my pants at children, because once you make a horror movie that centers around kids, let's face it, there's an extra level of the heebie-jeebies and the to it all.
The Shiny did it with the twins. That's always got me.
And, go for it. What have you got?
No, so we'll go on to one that we've mentioned a lot, Black Hole. Because that's a classic. It's like a classic, like science theater kind of like.
It's the trippiest thing that Disney ever made.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. But it's the box art has always been that kind of it's another interesting kind of draw one, because it's called Black Hole, and it's just got a black hole and a ship on it. Like,
but the black hole looks like an eye.
It does, yeah. Like it does. They do make it really sinister looking and stuff. But the thing was that the box art there that I had, it doesn't show the fact that above that was Disney. That's the thing that always like as I got older, eventually really got me in the sense of kind of going, why? Like it seems so weird that Disney did this, but the box art has always been it's a really sci-fi simple kind of like one which I really loved.
And it's
But there's a
crazy
lot going on. I see that there's no planet in it.
well, yeah, it is a bit weird because this is one of those ones I didn't choose because I could not have told you what the box art for Black Hole was. As much as we've talked about Black Hole and as crazy as I am about it and as fascinating as I find it, I had no mental image of what the cover was. So I'm starting to wonder, and I think this is pretty much the case. Never saw it as a rental or even noticed it in the rental store. It might have been in the rental store, but was on TV, was taped, and I watched it a lot on a recorded VHS. So it may not have even been in my DVD store because it just mightn't have been popular enough.
Yeah,
Or my
I get
video
that.
store.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think it was one of those kind of like eventually became one of those bargain bin like rental stores that got a load of copies of it because like
Yeah.
no one was using it. But
It is a cool
the
cover.
the first time I actually watched it was on TV. I did like I can say that I didn't actually rent it myself. I was just like, oh yeah, this is the one that has like that weird box art, and then I watched it and I was just like, oh, that's why. It's real weird.
Is it odd to you that the ship is so well lit or glowing? Um,
Yeah, like that was the thing because like in the movie, it's not
no,
like it isn't really kind of like central lighting and stuff like that. But
no.
I think they lighted a contrast to the black hole, just to kind of make it really evident. But as I said, there's no planet in the movie. There's no planet in this movie.
No.
Like they mention Earth because they're from Earth, but there's no men. They don't go to a planet.
Oh
They
no.
just keep moving towards a black hole. So I'm just like, why is there a planet in there?
It matches the rest of the movie though, insofar as it's completely incongruous and slightly mental. Um, Paul, for those of you out there, Paul and I have seen this. For those of you who haven't, get on your Disney Plus or wherever you want to get it. Watch the Black Hole, and I mean watch it all the way to the very end, and then be like, how cool was Maximilian? But also, how weird was that movie? And in fact, that final shot could have made a great box art. And you know the shot I'm talking about.
I think they do. I think there's an alternate. There's a few alternative box art ones of this, but I do think that this is the main one, that they did.
Cool.
So, but I do think that the mountain one. I think that's the shot that you mean, the mountain shot.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
I think that's
yeah.
the other one.
I don't want to say too much. So Paul, we're going to take a little ad break in a second. I'm going to squeeze a quick one in though, if you're all right with that.
Go for it.
And it is back to my classic days, Airplane. Everybody knows I love the Airplane movies, but I loved the Airplane covers. Simple, very very reminiscent of all the jokes in the movie. Straightforward but genius. But it was the second one. It was Airplane 2 that really got me because I remember the first time I saw it. I remember exactly where I was standing in the video store, and I remember saying, "Oh my God, Airplane 2, the squeal," because I didn't know how to pronounce sequel. So there you go, folks. That's when you learn you don't know what a sequel is till someone says it says sequel. So, Paul, I'm going to run to a little ad break, and when we are back, I really want to hear from the folks out there about what your favorites are. Before there was Stranger Things. Before there was Chris Pine. There was Homebrew Quest. Hang on, that doesn't make any sense. Let me start again. YouTube is great for watching Hear Us Out, but what if you'd like a bit of D&D in your life? Homebrew Quest are a bunch of brilliantly creative Irish folks playing a homebrew Dungeons & Dragons campaign inspired by Irish mythology. But even more inspired by the brews they're drinking in each episode. Ireland's supposed to be the land of saints and scholars, but it's also got drinkers and YouTubers, one of which might look a tad familiar. So get yourself over to Homebrew Quest and join the adventure. Links in the description down below, or search term Homebrew Quest. Tell them Hear Us Out sent you. There you go, folks, and we're back from
How's it going?
another little ad for Paul's other wife, his other YouTube family. Paul is keeping multiple families going. Homebrew, you can have him. I'll sit here on my own with just a blank square above me next time, Paul.
My Eskimo family.
There you go. So, Paul, moving along swiftly to one of yours, I take it you also, like, without needing to be prompted, you would have remembered an airplane cover, because there are multiples with various types of knot in the airplane, but they're all variation in the same theme.
I remember the first one. The first one, that classic one, is the one that I know. And Airplane, the sequel, is also another one that I like. Those two actually are the synonymous ones that I remember the most.
And again,
so I think that's
Font City, Paul. Airplane.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's what I also enjoy is the fact that they've also led it differently. So Airplane goes to the E smaller kind of thing. So it's like, but sorry, it's they're kind of hanged in a different way, which is nice. It's a nice kind of mirror thing to the both of the Airplane kind of thing. It also constantly weird is the fact that Airplane the sequel, the one that has William Shatner in it.
It's the one where it's you know what, before Fast and the Furious did it, they go to space.
Yeah, which is my favorite. I will say that my favorite joke is in Airplane 2. Which
is it the doors?
Beware of vacuum. It's beware of vacuum. Yeah.
My favorite, and I've got to do it now, for anybody who hasn't watched Airplane or Airplane 2, do. But if you're watching Airplane 2, wait for the first time they do the door sound from Star Trek, where somebody walks through and goes, shh, and then shh, to make it do the shh, shh noise. And I thought that's brilliant. But if you look at the person's face who's doing it, you'll see they're getting a kick out of doing it too. And that's somebody enjoying their work.
Yeah, it's the actor when they go through the door. That's
exactly
the thing.
Brilliant.
But yes, it's a great one.
So Paul, hit me.
I have another. I'll do a more I guess younger one, which would be the Mortal Kombat the movie.
Oh yes.
So this is just. It was before I actually played the game. So obviously the Mortal Kombat movie came from the game that was on like the Sega. It's on the Nintendo.
I first played Mortal Kombat in an arcade. Next time I ever played it was on Sega Mega Drive. I want to say it was probably on Nintendo too.
Yeah, so it was it's just the dragon symbol, literally the dragon symbol that's synonymous with the tournaments and stuff like that, and that's it. And then there's the words Mortal Kombat. Nothing in the world has prepared you for this. That's literally.
And so when you consider all the things they could have done, and actually my next pick will show you what they could have done that would have ruined it. They could have gone for cast of characters, which I think is what Street Fighter 2 did for their cover. I think they have everybody doing their pose.
The Street Fighter one, it depends, because I know that has Claude Van Damme in it, and
Kylie
so I don't. Yeah. So it's a bit of a. I don't know. I think it has. I don't know. I can't remember that one fully.
I think it's pretty crammed full of, look, we got Jean-Claude Van Damme and all your favorite characters will be here. Whereas this shows a fairly cool statement of, you all know what Mortal Kombat is. We can use our own brand already. We're using the symbol because you've all played it until the point of trying to get down to the pit or get the green dude, Venom, or whatever the hell it was called.
Lizard?
Was it? Yeah, something. He was the non-Sub-Zero, non-Scorpion one of the people that they'd turned up green. Anybody out there that remembers Mortal Kombat, let us know in the comments down below.
There was Smoke as well. That was another one of those robots kind of things.
That was like Mortal Kombat 2 or 3. See, I'm a purist original where I'm like, oh yeah, limited moves, so I still have a chance. Once it got too complicated and I got my ass kicked, I'm like, this is terrible. The old ways are the best ways.
I know. Ever since Tekken 5.
Oh, yeah. Well, Paul, I'm going to show you then what I mean by, just shoving cast in. And these are two that came to me. Anybody who even has ever heard me speak obviously knows I like cars and stuff, but part of the reason for that is Cannonball Run. Cannonball Run changed my life. Burt Reynolds changed my life. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Burt Reynolds changed my life. That seems a good place to stop before I say anything too incriminating. Cannonball Run was one of those great, look at all our cast of crazy characters, because it is a big caper cast of characters film. All of those movies, there was a whole load of them. But Police Academy and its
Yeah,
6 sequels, 5 sequels.
I think 6. Yeah.
It could be 6, yeah. I stopped once they had like Mission to Moscow or whatever. I think it was like 4 or 5. I was like, I'm out. But it was always this this illustrated style cast of kooky people being kooky. And as you can see, dead center, it's like, and one of them's in a skirt, and the big, tall, tough guy's holding flowers or whatever the hell it is. It's like if they'd done that with Mortal Kombat, it would have been a terrible cover.
Yeah, no, I get you. Like, you get it's busy kind of thing, but it still draws. Like, I'll be honest, the Police Academy one actually still draws the eye.
Well, that's why it's here. Like, I'm complaining, but in a kind of, it worked on me, and I'm kind of almost pissed off that it worked on me.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, it is one of those kind of ways that it's like, you've got too many characters that I now have to pick this up and go through them really close and go, oh yeah, kind of thing. Yeah, yep. I know that.
And Brew just mentioned Death Race 2000. Yeah, as I said earlier, it nearly made it onto my list. I just didn't want. I wanted to have something that didn't involve cars, so I started deleting a lot of my choices.
The John Carpenter kind of list, yeah.
Yeah, and Paul, actually, you may have noticed I've been staying away from horror, but no longer. Fright Night and Phantasm 2, the ones that I mentioned when this first came up. I have never seen Phantasm. I have never seen Phantasm 2. I was just mad. I wanted to see the flying ball with a drill coming out of it. The cover just it captivated me. I saw it in the video store the entire time I went to that video store when I was a kid, and I would go over and look at it. And I'm talking over a space of 7 years here, and I would always go over and look at it. And never even got around to seeing the damn film, but would be able to draw by hand to that cover.
Now another one on our list of watching together then.
Have you seen any of the Phantasms? Is the ball a big part of it?
Yeah, it's kind of like Hellraiser with the puzzle box.
Okay, yeah, there was a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, but it's a little bit of more kind of sinister kind of. Well, I don't think that actually the puzzle box is just as sinister. It's just another one that's kind of like, it's a device that kind of is turned evil, right? I guess. But yeah, no, the Fright Night one is really good.
Iconic.
Yeah, because but the reboot one, the one that they did with Colin Farrell as the vampire and stuff like that, I like the fact that they kind of redid they kind of like did an homage to the to the old one, which is, I think, it's the street with Colin Farrell's face over it with the kid in it.
At this point, Paul, if I was any good, I would have had that image, but I didn't think of that, and it's really flaming obvious to me now.
Well, no,
you're right.
It's still better, but it shows how iconic Fright Night, the original box art was, that they didn't decide to kind of take a left field with it or anything like that. They were just like, let's just do the same similar thing, just make it a little bit more modern kind of thing. But it's a great, even the detail of having the light. One light with the kid in it and stuff, which is great. It's
and again,
fantastic.
Font Fangs, Fright Night. The weird thing for me, Paul, is that Fright Night, of all the movies that I saw, and I should rewatch last week's show. I think when you mentioned Toxic Avenger, I think Fright Night was the first one to come out of me, and it's because, again, it never left me, but it actually scared me the first time I saw it. I thought that film looks too scary. It's the teeth on the apparition vampire style thing. I thought it was going to be a much scarier movie than it was. So that when I eventually saw Fright Night, I was kind of like, this isn't so bad. What the hell? This isn't a scary movie at all. I was expecting Nightmare on Elm Street level. This is going to mess me up and I'm not going to sleep for a few days. Whereas Fright Night isn't that, but its cover art kind of still gives me the dancing foot. I get kind of like, maybe we should turn that around and face it the other way. Yeah, I don't know if I want to look at that when I go to sleep tonight.
Did it also remind you of Salem's Lot? Is that also why, like, because it
You
kind
had
of,
to bring it up,
kind of
didn't you?
does as well?
Yeah. Oh God, I hate Salem's Lot so much. It has so much
Um,
power over me. I'm still terrified even of its mention.
hey, look, you got vampires flying out your window. You,
You're like, oh,
um,
window right here.
but yeah,
Okay, Paul, you
no,
pick one.
Friday Night one's good. Yeah, I'll go for my two horror ones as well. My two other horror ones. And the reason I'm putting these together is so because I fell into the trap. But it's Dead Alive and Brain Dead. Now, Dead Alive is called Brain Dead in other regions, but there's another film which is also Peter Jackson, which is Brain Space Dead. But Dead Alive is the one, obviously on the screen kind of thing. It was always an interesting one. It just had the lady kind of opening her mouth with a skull kind of in it,
Brilliant.
which is always so weird to see, kind of thing. And it just keeps going. Like, but the Dead Alive one was a little bit better. The Brain Dead one, which is the Peter Jackson one, the one that has the face stretched over like a, I don't know, a hubcap or something.
Yeah, we're like a knitting. I think people use that for crochet or something.
Yeah, was always another one of those interesting kind of like I think it's the stretching part that kind of was just weird.
Yeah.
And it looked like, so Dead Alive looks like it's a skull trying to escape a person.
Yeah, and can we take a moment on that? And I'm going to use the Dead Alive version, not the Brain Space Dead version. I'm going to use the Dead Alive version. I think that may be one of the greatest of all time, for the simple reason that you've managed to get on a horror cover scared eyes, and that's quite that'll draw you to it. It's looking right at you, but
Yeah.
it's not the only thing looking right at you. Then you've got a whole second set of weird little eyes looking at you from somewhere that shouldn't be looking at you from. It is arresting.
Yeah. It's disturbing.
Now, they could have done a better font. There's a font fail.
That's
for
true.
you.
That is. Some things won't stay down even after they die. It's also another good tagline.
It's pretty good. God, it's kind of gross though. Yeah, which is the point.
But then Brain Dead, which is just another one of those kind of interesting kind of box art things, which is very practical effects kind of horror, like gory horror thing, which is right up my alley.
And
so that's always what dragged.
long-time viewers of the channel should know that we've talked about Brain Dead and Dead Alive on a previous show where we talked about movies with different names, similar names, and all sorts of name changing. And the reason that Brain Dead made it was because of Brain Dead and Dead Alive having alternate titles. But we specifically called this one out because this is Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman in the same movie. Mm-hmm. The two Bills. It's the $2 bill, folks. It's rare and wonderful. Paul, I think we could have done this whole episode just with horror movies or scary movies, I guess I should say.
Definitely.
But I'm kind of glad we didn't. And I'm going to throw in some quick honorable mentions if that's okay.
Go for it.
This is the lightning round. Iron Eagle, Top Gun cash in or not, who cares? It had loads of fighter jets. And again, patriotic font time. Iron Eagle had that font of, this is going to have a bit of oorah to it. There was a guy in sunglasses with his, muscle t-shirt on. I was all about watching Iron Eagle, and Iron Eagle 2 and Iron Eagle 3. They got me into what was the cut rate version of Top Gun, but a completely different movie in the end, but still not as good as Top Gun. I don't care what anybody says. And to continue that theme, Paul, much as yourself, you picked Firefox. Thank you for that, by the way. I don't know if you've seen or remember a movie called Daryl. Daryl.
It rings a bell.
Yeah, because
I'm going to see the box art now and I'm going to be like, oh, damn it, why didn't I
it's
choose that
about to
one
hit
as well?
you. Your live is about to catch up over there, so you're finally going to get to see this.
And it also always reminded me, because it's like the bottom part, the front art always reminded me of the Battlestar Galactica Vipers.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha. And you know what? That kind of Firefox being a play on the SR-71, this being a play on it also, this being one of those things where it's like kid supercomputer. I want to say that it was either Sarah Jessica Parker or Kelly Preston. I can't remember who. Somebody in their younger days was like helped him escape. This is all about a kid trying to get home. Even though was he was a supercomputer or alien to talk to him? I can't remember what the hell it was. No, it was he was a development of some super scientist guy, so he was like human computer kid. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
He played pole position on Atari really well and ended up being a kid flying a really cool plane. That's all I needed. But again, cannot stress this enough, folks. Holy font. We all are so used to computers now. The font they used was what we considered computer font at the time. That's how computers worked. There were little green screens that had really dodgy font. And I was like, that's cool. It's so futuristic. He's flying cool futuristic planes. Looking back now, it's kind of funny that that's what I thought and felt as a kid.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's great. That's a great box art one.
Yeah.
Reminds me of War Games.
Yeah. Oh, why didn't I? Oh.
But the War Games doesn't have a great box art. That's the thing.
Does it? Oh, I'm thinking of Project X with Matthew Broderick and the monkey. For anybody who hasn't seen, that's a cool cover art. What was War Games?
I think it has just the computer on it.
A bit of the Whopper and a bit of Matthew Broderick, probably.
Oh, it has. I think it has a. See, this is the thing. I don't remember that well.
That's why it's not on our list, folks.
That's the thing.
And finally, Paul, because the best thing you can do with your cover art is make it feel like, you know, that other movie you like? This could be like it too. King Solomon's Mines, the Richard Chamberlain stuff with young and amazing Sharon Stone. I looked at it and I thought, that looks Indiana Jones adjacent. I love Indiana Jones, therefore I must watch this movie. And I have fond memories of it because if, there was a time in my life, if they'd made like 3 Indiana Jones movies a year, I would have watched them. I was never going to get enough of that. So if you made something that was Indiana Jonesy looking, it's kind of like what happened with Star Wars. You know, all of the various knockoffs. You did watch a whole load of them before you got tired and realized, oh, law of diminishing returns is kicking in here. I remember this cover being like, ooh, there's probably going to be a whip.
Yeah, no, it always reminded me. Do you know what? Like Indiana Jones and these and a couple of other ones always reminded me of those like adventure books that you used to find, and it's the same with kind of, I guess, when you mimic. It's probably for us when you mimic like sci-fi kind of classic book covers, and adventure book covers. I think that's what draws us a lot more, kind of thing too.
It's true.
But yeah, no, King Solomon's Mine just remind me of the Indiana Jones box. Yeah.
Paul, I think I rambled a lot in this one. I think I talked over you a few times too, so I'd like to apologize publicly. For anybody out there watching this right now, thank you. Because even for us, this wasn't massive preparation. We just sort of threw ourselves at this one. I think it shows. I think it's one of our messiest efforts, but I was quite messy in controlling stuff, and I'm sorry for any flickering that was happening on screens out there. But really, for the 10 of you who watch this, I really want to know, and don't go looking up what a great bit of box art is. When you think cover art for DVD or VHS, what do you remember from your childhood? What was the one that you thought, oh, wow? I think for a lot of people, it'll be the RoboCops or whatever else it might be. Maybe, there's more modern movies like Something About Mary and stuff like that were, quite striking box art. Anybody who was Project X, I wish I'd added that to my list. Really want to hear from you down below. Really, really do. Like, share, subscribe. Who cares? Just drop us a comment. I'm really, really curious.
Yeah, just let us know which box art really kind of pulls your eye from a rental store.
Yeah. Because those days are gone, Paul. We don't get to have it anymore. And I personally miss that.
I do too.
Tiles on a streaming service?
Streaming is not the same.
Not the same. So all of our physical media heads out there, Thanks for keeping it alive. I still have my collection. Paul, you still have your collection. I want to go to somebody else's house where they've built racks like it's an old Blockbuster or Extravision or Chartbuster or whatever, and just look at their collection that way.
Yeah, I get you. I actually bought 5 new DVDs actually the other day. Mostly Master and Commander, Galactica, which is I'll get the list. I'll take a photo as well.
You know, Master and Commander is the Lesser of Two Evils. That was Master and Commander.
Yeah,
best Weevil joke in cinema history.
They're making a sequel to it. Yeah, I know. They're trying to get a sequel going. Russell Crowe and which goes Paul Bettany.
He'll be rocking all that Pope's Exorcist money now. It's going to be cool.
Yeah. So very much weird. Yeah.
Quick jump into the comments before we say goodbye to you all. Brew remembers the Daryl cover. That's cool. Nice one. So you actually remember it, but not the film. You know, you're remembering the better half of the equation there. The film's not terrible, but yeah. Daryl was my favorite as a kid. I loved it, but I'm not going to cinematically defend it. It's kind of like, Flight of the Navigator. I still love that film. I don't care if nobody else likes these things. I like them. Mighty Ducks 2, Paul. This will be one for you. Mighty Ducks 2. 2 players with bubble gum is the cover art.
Yeah, they're facing off with each other.
Nice.
And I think that's the first time that they also showed the white T-shirts, which becomes more synonymous because the original one was green.
Nice.
So I think the second one is when they actually have to deal with the Ducks, which is the ice hockey team, the actual ice hockey team.
I love it. See, I love that there's just moments where somebody says something and I know that either I know an unreasonable amount about it or you do. And Mighty Ducks is one of those weird niche things. It's like, I happen to know that Paul's quite a Mighty Ducker.
I do. I have a hat. I have a hat just there for the Mighty Ducks.
Just out of shot. Nice.
Yeah. Which goes just to show how much I like the Ducks. My friend likes the Penguins.
Oh,
but anyway.
No. Yay, Ducks, boo, Penguins. Except for real life ones, in which case I like both. Yeah. And much like Leonard Part 6, I would only try and fly away on one of them. Obviously the penguin, the flightless one. That's a callback to the start of our own episode. We've gone on for long enough.
Got that loop going. So, which is, thanks for watching. Which is, I've been Paul.
I've been Patrick.
And we've been Here to Say It.
And we'll see you next time. Take it easy, everybody.
Bye. Enjoy the Oscars. The Oscars. They're coming on Monday. Monday for us.
Yeah, we should have probably done something about that, but Oscars. Night, everybody.
Thursday we're going to talk about the Oscars.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.